Welcome stampers to Utterly Awesome Stamping with Sandy Hancock. I'm just saying a quick hello so that you can see what I look like before I start this video. So now let me turn this down and I'll show you what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to show you how to make these super cute boxes. I saw a little box like this at an on stage, and this is what it looks like. They did theirs totally out of designer paper, and I decided to come home and do something very different. So this is how it works. It's got a cute little box. It's 2x2 for the most part. Slips in, you put your little goodies inside. But I thought, I think I'm going to make some for Easter. I'm using a set from the mini catalog called Welcome Easter. It has these three little critters in them, and then a Happy Easter, a Welcome to the World Little One. So you could use this set too for a baby card. This is what it looks like. Can you see it? Yeah. So Welcome Easter. Very nice set. Lots of little characters to work with. Okay, so let's get started. First thing we're going to do is make the box part. We're going to make this part. And we're going to start with a 8.5 by 3 3/4 inch piece of cardstock. So I'll turn this over. You can see it a little bit better. We're going to score it at 2 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches, and 8 inches. Now, you can send me a note and tell me if you actually want to see me do this scoring, but I feel like you all know how to score, so I don't need to take up my time doing that, but I did use the Simply Scored board to do that. Then when you turn the cardstock lengthwise, you're going to score at 2 inches, or you could say 1 3/4. So the bottom part is 2 inches, the top part is 1 3/4, and I'll show you the reason it's not 2 inches on both sides of the score. Okay, this little house for the box is 2x2x2, and this is 2 inches on the bottom, 2 inches on the sides, but if the height is 2 inches, it's not going to go into here very easily, so I cut it down to 1 3/4. I think that will make sense to you. Okay, so let's get going on making the bottom part. First thing you're going to do after you do the scoring is to take your scissors and cut on the 2-inch side. Make sure you're cutting up the 2-inch side and not down the 1 3/4 inch side with scissors up to the score line, and then you're going to cut out the tab. Again, make sure you're cutting out the tab on the 2-inch side. Now we're going to add tear and tape just around the 2 end pieces. I laugh when I think about this tear and tape. I think they should have called it tape and tear, because I can't tear it before I tape it. So I'm not sure what the reasoning was behind that. So all you're doing is putting it on each of the end pieces, and then you're putting it on the little flap on the back. In order to assemble this, we're going to pull off the tear and tape. That takes a second for each end. You could put tear and tape in the center, but I think it's overkill. So I just put it on the end pieces. And I can go ahead and pull it off of this little tab too. Oh, you know what? Oops. Oh boy, now I just made it more complicated, because you really need to score. And I should have scored. Hello. Yeah, this is going to be tricky. You're supposed to score before you before you pull off the tear and tape. So I'll just do the best I can. Yeah. Well, things don't always go perfectly, right? Okay. This is scoring in a challenging fashion. Okay, did it. All right, so now what you're going to do is overlap the two pieces that do not have any tear and tape, and then you're going to pull one of the end pieces underneath, and then you're going to pull the second end piece underneath, make sure it matches, and then put the little tab together, and boom, it's just that simple. Now, right here, this is sticking up just a tiny bit. If that bothers you, just take a pair of scissors and trim it down. Okay, so here's the box. Now let's look at how to make the top part. Okay, couldn't find it. Okay, so this is cut 2 inches by 11, and really you need to cut it a smidgen less than 2 inches. It would be like a 1/16 of an inch less, or not even that much, just a smidgen, so that it will fit into the scalloped tag topper punch. Now this we're going to score at 1.5, 2.5, 4.5, 6.5, 8.5, and 9.5. Did you get that? 1.5, 2.5, 4.5, 6.5, 8.5, 9.5. Okay, now once it's scored, you're going to put the ends into the scalloped tag topper punch. Try to say that several times. Scalloped tag topper punch. Okay, so now we've got the ends scored. Now this time I will remember to do the folding before I do the tear and tape. Okay, we're going to fold in, except at the very last score it goes out. And if it doesn't look quite straight, you can straighten it. Okay, so now we'll turn it around, do a couple of scores. When we get to the last score, it goes out. Now we'll put some tear and tape. Two little pieces are enough, just on one side. Okay, pull off the tear and tape. And the easiest way to put this together is simply just look at the cute little design at the end, put it together like this, and there's your little house for the box. So now we have our little box complete. So we want to decorate it, and we're going to decorate it with this green one. We're going to decorate with the lamb, and I want to show you what I did to make it easy to stamp, because I knew I was going to make a number of these, so I wanted to use the Stamparatus. What I've done is take a 2-inch by 8.5 inch piece of cardstock and put it here. Then I just literally set the little chick, the little rabbit, and the little lamb on here so that it was the right spacing. Then what you do is just close the top over it, and they automatically stick to the lid exactly where you want them. Okay, now you take your black Memento pad and ink them up really well and stamp it. Push very firmly. The beauty of this Stamparatus is not only can I ink it again if I need to, I think I'm going to give it one more ink. It holds everything right in place so that I can stamp twice and not ruin anything. Okay, beautiful. Now can you see they're nice and dark? So I did that about 5 times because I was making a number of these. And then you do need to fussy cut them. So I fussy cut this little lamb. It's not very hard to do, and I'm going to show you what I used to color him in. Okay, so I colored his nose with the Blushing Bride marker. I colored his little tie with the dark mint macaron Stampin' Blend. And then I colored his feet with a dark smoky slate. And I thought, you know, I wonder what sheep's feet are called. I don't think they're called hooves. So I asked Siri what they're called. Are you ready for this? They're called trotters. So I colored his little trotters with the dark gray, and boom, we're good to go. Okay, so now let me just remind you what it's going to look like. This is the finished product. So you can see I have a white square and I have a square of designer paper. The white, because this is 2 inches, so the white square is 1 3/4. You usually just cut 1/4 of an inch less when you're doing a layer. And then the mint macaron comes from a package of designer papers that are on page 162 and 163. You'll find that each group of stamping pads and colors have 10 to a group, and each group has its own set of designer papers. So there are 4 sheets of each color of the 10 colors in one of these packages. So I simply took the mint macaron and I cut a little tiny 1.5 inch square, and I'm going to put that onto the 1 3/4 inch square. And then I'm going to put this onto the box. Okay, so now we have it on the box. Then I'm going to put some dimensionals. Generally, I use the small ones, but for some reason, I have the big ones. So I'm thinking, okay, we'll just use 2 big ones instead of several small ones. And I'm going to add this to the front. Super cute. Now I have 12 inches cut of the silver edge metallic ribbon. So beautiful. And we're going to tie that through the top. And let's see if I can do this with an audience. Okay, so far so good. You always have to fiddle with this just a little bit to get it looking right. Okay, is that looking pretty cute? I'm going to take my good ribbon cutting scissors, trim a little bit. Oh, I think I'm going to make it a tiny bit smaller. Okay, so we're fiddling with this a little bit. Okay, or I'll just leave it. Okay, now we want to have a greeting on here. So what I've done is I've taken a 3 inch by 3/4 inch piece of white cardstock. I'm going to take my mint macaron pad and my Happy Easter stamp. Now I've got 2 chances, right? Because this has 2 sides to it. I'm going to stamp Happy Easter. Voila! Yay! Okay, so now I want to show you how to cut the little banners in each end. Some people just start cutting from the edge like this. I find that very difficult. In fact, impossible for me to ever get it even. So what I do is I cut up the center first, a little bit more, because I can usually find the center. And then I cut from the corner to the tip of the V and the corner to the tip of the V. And I get a pretty perfect one every time. Okay, so we're going to put one in each end. All right, so now we've got our little banner. On the back of the banner, I'm going to put a little bit of tear and tape, or tape and tear. You don't want to put it all the way across, or it's going to go surpass the width of your box. So now I'm just going to take this, stick it under the ribbon, press it on. I might play with that ribbon a little bit more. And so what I did with the rabbit, I used a light gray, smoky slate for him, and then I used the Blushing Bride. And then this happens to be the Whisper White crinkled seam binding that I laid on a pad and just patted it on both sides to get it pink. But that's on back order right now till April 13th. So I couldn't get any more of that for the moment. And then for the little chickie, I used the Daffodil Delight Stampin' Blends, and then I put the little pearls. And I just want to show you, you probably have put pearls on many, many times. But what I did is I'm using the small pearls, and I'm going to do 5, an odd number. So I put 1 in the center, and then I'm going to just go, and I'm putting it right on the line of his neck, or her neck, whatever that happens to be. Okay, there we go. So now we've got pearls on the little chickie neck. Isn't that so cute? So here's what she looks like. And then the beak and the feet are a dark Stampin' Blend, the pumpkin pie. Okay, one last thing I want to tell you is that if you get 3 pieces of cardstock, you can make 4 boxes out of the 3 pieces of cardstock. You can get 2 of these bases out of 1 sheet. So 2 sheets would equal 4 bases, and then you can cut 4 of these out of, upside down, you can cut 4 of these out of 1 sheet. So 3 sheets will make 4 boxes. Does that make sense? So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Here you go again, and just go off and have fun. You can create baby shower treat boxes. The sky's the limit. Have a great day.